I absolutely love axolotls. I don't make a secret of it. It's reached the point where I'm actually currently in the process of setting up a real life aquarium for two axolotls. Expect a video on that in September, but for now, I want to build a axolotls utopia. I want to build a very, very beautiful aquarium and just setting it up as realistic as I can. So we're gonna have a water cooler, we're gonna have beautiful plants, and expect lots of very useless axolotl knowledge in this one. I'm thinking for the ground, we should start with sand. Now here's the first useless axolotl fact, and if you're getting axolotls, it's actually quite useful maybe. So sand is actually one of the best grounds to use for axolotls, because axolotls are carnivores and they are predators. So when they, hunt for their food, even if it's just like a food pellet or something, they always, they work kind of like a vacuum, and they suck not just the food on the ground, but also some surrounding gravel or whatever you have as your aquarium ground in. And the problem with that is that if there is a piece of gravel that's a bit too sharp or too big, they can actually suffer from either organ bleeding or they clog up their organs and their intestines, and you really don't want that. There are two things you can do. You can use specialized axo gravel, which is something you can get online, and it is very good ground for your aquarium when you have axolotls, and that's what I try to imitate. Axo gravel would be great also to represent with concrete powder, but the problem is as we're building an aquarium, that would then turn into concrete, and therefore I'm just settling for sand. And sand is something you can also use if the sand is small enough. 20 minutes later, we've made an aquarium. And it's beautiful. I made sure that the terrain down here has a bit of a slope, so it's not too boring for the axolotls. They can actually swim up, swim down, whatever they fancy. But it's also not too steep, so it's, nice and flat, but still there's a bit of variation. Otherwise it looks very plain and boring. And up here I've installed 5 sets of light. And because these animals are nocturnal, I made sure that these daylight sensors only power it during night, so that we can have a look inside and the axolotls aren't blinded and disturbed by too much light. In Minecraft, I believe we can actually justify these with drown spawning. I believe drown spawning is actually connected to light levels as well. At least that increases it, so in Minecraft we have a reason to install these, so no drowns can spawn and, attack our poor axolotls in here. I think the first thing to do would be to get some hiding places in, because axolotls need some kind of caves or, these things you can put in aquariums where they can swim inside and they can cuddle with each other, which they do occasionally. It's very, very cute. And all that, I think we need to install that. Let's go and get some clay huts or whatever to just have them not just sit about, but they can actually do stuff. We've got the first hiding place in for the axolotls, some kind of clay hut where they can swim in and swim out and hide inside and cuddle. All that beautiful stuff. A thing that I have in my aquarium is a fake wood kind of tree trunk, but sized down. I think we can actually get that going as well. But then we would have a lot of brown. And I think another contrast color would do well. So let's build maybe a gray hut with andesite, tuff, and potentially stone. I'm really not sure about the shape. Maybe something a bit larger or just stretched, like not necessarily bigger, but just longer. Yeah, I think that looks good. So if we have an entrance here, and maybe one over here, that would be enough. The nice thing with stones is that we can actually use staircases and slabs to make this look a bit more open and natural. And it doesn't feel as cramped. Now, I believe it's time for a bit of technical stuff, because we do need a water filtering unit for them. I'm thinking this could either look realistic and very good, or ugly as hell. But I'm aiming for realism, so I kinda have to do this. Oh man, it's just a big wall of sponges to clean all the bacteria from the water. And the thing with axolotls is you kinda have to use these types of filters, or I believe there are 2 or 3 more kinds of filters you can use, but the problem is you can't use any chemicals. If you use chemicals, then the axolotls are going to get very sick real soon. So we have to use natural filtering without any type of chemicals. And we also have to have lots of real plants in the aquarium, because that also filters out a lot of the bacteria, for example from the poop of the axolotls. Alright, how are we looking? It's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Okay, there's one flaw in my design, in that the water would have to go from here, from inside the aquarium, inside of the filter, but there is glass in the way, and without the glass it's just an ugly yellow corner, so I'm going to keep the glass and just imagine it's not there. So the water would go in, it would be filtered, there would be a pump in here, which pumps the water back into the aquarium. Now the way I want to do this is by utilizing some sort of pipe that just connects to the side and chucks out the water again. Did soul sand always moan when you mine it? It's actually not really a moan, it's more of a moan-ish sigh. But I feel like that wasn't always the case with soul sand. So now we've got our pipe installed. I need to make room for the outlets. And I think they can actually just go wherever these lights are. That makes it real easy and cohesive in the design. And if we now run a bucket of water from here, it goes down there. Okay, if we run... Next try. If we... No, not there as well. Stand by for a second. If we now take a bucket of water and put it right here, it does run down here. That's great. Now we need another bucket right here, I think. Yes, and another bucket right here. Okay, this is actually great, because this is now looking like a proper filter. Next up, I would probably fill it up with water, and I'd also want to install a cooling system. Now, the cooling system is necessary because the axolotls are animals that only live in cold water. So anything above 22 degrees is potentially deadly. We're talking Celsius here. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's 22 degrees Celsius. That's not very good for the animals. So the thing I want is a water cooler. I'm thinking we're just running it through some ice blocks in that case. So let's get another box on this side, because it's already looking ugly with that thing here. And let's build a water cooler. I think I came up with something very nice here for the water cooler. So I have these 2 pipes. One is having the water run inwards. As you can see there, the water is just coming from the fish tank, from the aquarium, into this water cooler. And then there's this big block of ice, and there's actually ice below the water, and it gets cooled down to a frosty 18 degrees or so, which is perfect for axolotls. It then gets run into this water stream. There's a bubble elevator down there, which leads the fresh cooled water up and back into the aquarium. Let me just slap this roof. Slaps are always making everything better. And I'm going to see what I can do regarding the outside. Maybe some levers to make it look technical and whatnot. But this thing is working. And it's actually cooling the water. Well, it should be. I don't know how Minecraft logic with ice and water works, but It's cooling the water, I trust it. Well, that's the best I can do. 3 buttons and 2 levers. I think it's enough. Otherwise, it's just going to look overloaded, and too many buttons don't make it better. So 3 buttons, 2 levers for the water control, maybe to shut it off, to make it cool more or cool less. And a thing we can actually have is some sort of temperature display, because that's what these things normally have, where you can set the temperature. Let me get a red concrete block to make it very apparent that this is actually where you set the temperature. Then let's get some maybe a birch sign that looks nice and bright. And let's also get ourselves red dye and glow ink to make it look very, very important. There we have it, looking important. Cooling in process, 18 degrees. Great, we've got a water cooler, we've got a water filter, we've got hiding places, and we've got the aquarium. Now it's actually time to fill it up with water, get it filled up with plants, and most importantly, axolotls. Let's do it. So there we have it, a realistic axolotl aquarium. It's looking fancy. It's not the prettiest thing. I thought it would look a bit better, but it turned out pretty cool nonetheless, I think. We have water plants inside, we've got kelp, we've got loads of axolotls. For some reason it only gave me the pink ones from the buckets. Maybe I should have used the spawn egg. Let me try that out actually. I want to get a few more colors of axolotl. Do I get different axolotls when I utilize the spawn eggs? While I'm at it, I might as well add a small trapdoor on top so that I can have access to the cute little axolotls down there. Oh yeah, now we've got a white one. Okay. Brown one. White one. Oh, that's a yellow one. Okay. I'm not gonna try for a blue one. That would that would need quite some time. But we've got a lot of axolotls in here now, and they are very happy. They have got a water cooler, so it's nice and cool for them in here. They don't have to worry about overheating, and it's a very, very mild 18 degrees. I'm kind of freezing, but the axolotls are just fine. Over here is a beautiful clay hut. Here is a beautiful stone hut, which they can discover and which they can sleep in, which they can cuddle in and have just a very, very nice time. Then we of course have the lighting system that switches on at night. I'm gonna make it nighttime real soon so we can see that in action once. We've got the big water filter that gets the water cleaned and redistributed into the aquarium via this pipe, which I've also detailed a little bit with these chains, so it looks a bit more realistic that it's actually hanging from the ceiling. And then we also have beautiful plants in here. I've added a few sea pickles just for light. I also got these big, I don't know what they're called, you know, the big leaves. Just the entire plant is basically just 4 leaves going in all directions, and it is looking so cool. We've also got kelp in here because that's one of the water plants Minecraft included, and it's looking pretty cool with the animation. It's adding a bit of livelihood to the greenery. And the same plant, just in smaller over here. Also, I've got moss balls down here. These moss balls are also in my aquarium, and they, I believe, also help clean the water. So we've got 3 moss balls, one here, one there, and one over here. And with that said, I think we have reached the end of this building video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was loads of fun for me to just experiment out with, oopsie, wrong button, with these axolotl fish tank ideas that I had in my mind. Let's actually make it night real quick. So we can see, okay, all of the lamps turn on and the axolotls are not disturbed by too much light, I think. This is very, very mild lighting. And before I ramble on for another 5 or so minutes, thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I hope you enjoyed working with this idea, or watching me work with this idea just as much as I actually liked building it. So, thanks for watching. Goodbye.